Kristi Noem is under serious heat right now, with growing calls for her impeachment getting louder by the day, and this time, even Fox News couldn't avoid putting her on the spot. After the brutal killing of an American citizen during an ICE operation, Fox's own Peter Doocy brought her on live television and started asking the kinds of questions she clearly wasn't prepared to answer, and almost immediately, the panic showed. Before getting into it, quick reminder to support the channel by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications if these updates are helpful. Now here's what makes this moment so wild. Fox News has spent years defending aggressive enforcement tactics, but even they're starting to realize the public is not buying the story anymore. After this second deadly incident, the narrative completely collapsed, and Noem was suddenly forced to defend the indefensible on friendly territory. According to reports, Doocy calmly brought up video footage that had been playing all morning, showing officers removing a weapon from Alex Pretty's waistband before shots were fired. And that's when everything started unraveling.
Because you mentioned the protocol, there is an angle of the video that we've been playing all morning where it shows an officer removing a weapon either from Alex Pretty's waistband or a holster. And he walks away with the weapon before officers start shooting. It appears that Alex Pretty was disarmed. If he was disarmed, is it the protocol to use deadly force?
And that's all part of this investigation. Every video will be analyzed. Everything will be looked at. And that's part of the answers that I can't speak to every single thing that those officers thought, but this happened in seconds. They clearly feared for their lives and took action to defend themselves and the people around them. If you watch that and you listen to those videos, you can hear someone yelling, "Gun, gun, gun," and those agents and officers reacted to that. So as this investigation goes forward, all of that will be analyzed.
Right away, the nerves were obvious. The stumbling, the circling, the attempt to avoid the one simple fact sitting right in front of everyone. The footage shows the weapon already taken away. Disarmed means disarmed. There's no gray area there. Yet she tried to keep both stories alive at the same time, claiming the investigation isn't finished while also insisting the agents were totally justified. What actually happened is painfully clear. An officer removes the gun, walks away with it, and seconds later, another agent fires into Pretty's back. The weapon was never in his hands. He never reached for it. He never threatened anyone with it. That part isn't opinion, it's on camera. Doocy was being gentle, almost giving her an exit ramp, but instead she doubled down, implying danger where the video shows none, all while hiding behind the phrase, ongoing investigation. Then came the next moment where Doocy pushed her on something she had previously claimed, that Pretty showed up intending to kill law enforcement.
But I want to have you walk our audience through what exactly you know. So you said last night, it looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement. Did he say, "I'm going to kill you," or did he leave a note? How do you know that was his intent?
You know, part of this investigation will be hearing from those agents and officers and people on the ground. But we do know that he came to that scene and impeded a law enforcement operation, which is against federal law. It's a felony. When he did that, interacting with those agents, when they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process.
Notice what happened there. A direct question about evidence turned into a vague answer about resisting and interfering. No proof, no threat, no statement, just a shift in topic. Showing up and arguing with officers is not the same thing as planning to kill them, and she knew that. There's also something else the footage makes clear. Pretty had a phone in his hand, not a weapon, and if someone truly intended harm, there were plenty of chances before officers rushed him. None of that happened, but instead of acknowledging reality, she stuck with the narrative anyway, even as public opinion continues to swing hard against her. Doocy then brought up the grieving family and what message she had for them.
Alex was just trying to protect a woman who was pushed down by ice and pepper sprayed. But they also talked to the Associated Press, and they said, we had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically. So what is your message this morning to Alex Pretty's parents?
Just that I'm grieved for them. I truly am. I can't even imagine losing a child, and I can't imagine a tragic situation. We can't have individuals that are impeding law enforcement operations and then showing up with guns and weapons and no ID and confronting law enforcement like that is one of the reasons that we see situations like this unfold. I think everybody can learn from this situation. I'm grateful for law enforcement to put their lives on the line every day to go out there on the streets and try to bring criminals to justice and protect the public. And we'll continue to make sure the right thing is done, this investigation is completed, and that we continue to go forward and we enforce the law and apply it equally to everybody in the country.
She started with sympathy and immediately turned it into blame. In the same breath, she painted Pretty as a dangerous criminal, even though the evidence shows he was unarmed when shots were fired. Then came one of the most important questions of the entire interview.
Where does it go from peaceful protest, I have a First Amendment right to do that, to I'm going to get arrested protesting, to I'm going to get shot to death?
We have clearly from the very beginning followed the exact same process and protocols that have been implemented this entire administration and that the previous administration followed and has gone on in law enforcement interactions for years. You cannot impede a law enforcement investigation and operation. When an officer tells you to back off and gives you orders, you should comply and explain. You shouldn't show up with weapons then no ID and no indication of how they're going to be used.
Here's where the contradiction gets impossible to ignore. In many states, people legally carry firearms every day, something conservatives themselves defend constantly. And in this case, Pretty was legally permitted to have his weapon. Doocy even clarified that point.
Separate from the specific investigation, we know that Alex Pretty, according to officials in Minnesota, was legally a concealed carry permit holder. He had his gun legally. Is your message to people who are concealed carry permits that if they're going to go to a protest, they should leave their gun in the car?
My message to individuals is don't go impede law enforcement operations. That's not legal. You're breaking the law when you do that. It's also breaking the law to concealed carry in Minnesota without an ID on you.
That claim doesn't hold up either. Not having an ID on you in Minnesota is a minor ticket at most, not a serious crime, and certainly not something that justifies lethal force. And none of this changes the central fact. The weapon was already taken away before the shots were fired. Kristi Noem wasn't confident. She wasn't firm. She wasn't clear. She was dodging, stammering, and shifting explanations in real time as facts caught up with her. When even Fox News starts asking hard questions, it's a sign something has gone seriously wrong. And as more evidence comes out, this moment may end up being remembered as the point where the story officially fell apart.